Number I don't know, but we're going to talk about deer hunting. Go figure.
62.
62. It is December 12th, a few days till Christmas, and there's no season going on right now besides the urban stuff,
Right.
which we have a couple guys on staff that are doing. So in between the split season, if you have an urban tag, most of these municipalities, these urban hunts, they allow deer season to go through even like late January.
Yeah, almost
mid
February.
to late January. So
Yep.
yeah, we got a couple guys out there. I would hate to be them today. It is like 9 degrees out with wind chill of -0 or -1. It's pretty cold, but I think we're going to talk about EHD, which we've talked about before, but we're going to kind of dive down into some numbers. Let's start out. I talked to some shotgun hunters, and I've talked to some guys that talked to some shotgun hunters around here, and you might have seen this firsthand, but the numbers on paper are nowhere near what the numbers are actually out there, what people are seeing.
Yeah, we did okay. I think we shot like 25 deer in 2 days on all private stuff, all big things, and but the numbers aren't what they were a couple years ago.
Yeah, there's groups
sure.
around here that shoot 30 deer and they've shot 9, and they're not even shooting the does anymore because they're not seeing them.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they should, which is, I mean, probably true. And on top of that, talking to one of our officers, and he talked to the biologist and told him, hey, like, these guys aren't seeing numbers. And I said this from like early October. I think at least 30 to 50% of our herd is just wiped out. It might even be more than that. But on top of that, it's not just the EHD, it's a sister virus they're contracting, which I think is the same mode of transmission, but it's blue tongue.
Yeah, and I think blue tongue was more of a frontline thing before the EHD popped up. Like, I remember hearing about blue tongue like 20 years ago, and then it was kind of like CWD and EHD kind of like put blue tongue to the back of like the front of it.
I think our herd around here, at least central Iowa's, we've had that. It's more been a southern Iowa issue. I may be wrong, but it's completely those two things wiped out our deer herd. I've been struggling to see deer, to even have a deer to chase. I mean, it's as well as I do, on these farms you usually have 2 to 3 big deer to chase.
Yeah.
And I have 2 that are outlier bucks that I've seen once that I've been trying to kill, and it's hard to kill what's not there. So
yeah, it's really spotty. That's one thing about, I think I've noticed in the last couple of years, it's been worse in pockets. It's not like 2012 and 2011, I think 2011, 12 and 13, like it was everywhere. And it seems like more now it's this half of this county is just gone.
yeah, and
Like it's, you walk the creek and it's a deer every 20 yards.
right, and that has a lot to do with the area you're in, whether you're in a river valley, river corridor, what watershed. There's a lot of variables. Maybe those flatlanders don't have near as much, or maybe they do. It's a lot of these people listening. Maybe come to our YouTube and comment. Are you seeing the same thing we are? Because like Jess said, there's pockets,
Yep.
and some pockets are worse than others. But it sucks. Like I mean, I have one farm that's got 10 to 12 little tiny 2 to 3 year olds and a couple of nice ones that we're gonna go this weekend, and hopefully Jace can get one shot. So
Right. Yeah, and it's the few farms I haven't seen the drastic overall decline, but I've seen the size decline, and whether that could be a million factors: food, pressure, all that good stuff, age structure, all these things. But a couple of the farms I hunt have high deer numbers, and it's still pretty good,
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I think the pockets of stuff goes.
I would say overall in Iowa, this is the worst year in general. That there's been outbreaks in southern Iowa where there's a few counties, Warren County in particular, where it just completely wipes out the whole county. But I think as like an overall, I think this is probably the worst. And maybe I'm saying that because Dallas County is a hot spot, but on paper people sending in, there's a website you can go to and look, and it's what, 2,500.
Right about there. Yeah.
That's just a small percentage of what, people aren't calling in every deer.
Right.
They're not going on there to, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you walk around and you find a doe just dead somewhere. You're not going to be like, oh, I need to go call this in or go online and add this to it. Nobody's doing that. I bet you it's double that.
Oh.
Or by the time we get into February, March, and we're shed hunting,
it's probably
it's
triple to
yeah.
And when I report it, I'm being lazy. I'm not taking the time. I'm texting the officer, pins. Hey, this is what I found. Here's a picture of it. 140 inch. One of the first ones I found was like 145 inch 10 point. He's still laying there, and I don't need to go pick him up. I don't need a salvage tag. But the officers, when it comes to springtime, I bet they're going to get a ton of calls trying to get salvage tags for those said deer. But it sucks. We'll bounce back, but in the short term, it just, what do you do? Like, we've dedicated pretty much our lives to chase deer, and having one bad year, it's unfortunate.
And typically it's the year after that there's big deer that get killed. I think it's less mouths to feed. There's just less deer around in the area, so there's less like actual herd pressure.
Yeah, but also with, and I've said this before, Iowa's carrying capacity with all of our ag and stuff, it's insane how many deer we could actually hold.
Yeah,
but there might be you go from one really crappy year to having 3 or 4 bucks really blow up, having a good year the next year, and it just happens that way. It's happenstance, but I'm hoping that's the case on a couple of these farms, like the one we're going to Saturday.
Right.
Hopefully there's some deer that blow up, because that's a good area.
Yeah, I got a few deer on a couple different farms that are, they're good deer. Nothing I'm going to want to shoot or anything like that, but both my kids still have tags, and it's almost to the point now where I might be, hey, this farm's got a ton of does. Let's just go pop a doe.
Yeah, get some meat for the
and that's how they are. They just like to go out and hunt, and they're not, I want to shoot a big buck. Let's just go out and go together and sit and let's shoot a deer, and that's probably what we'll do. It isn't going to be, hey, let's go hunt for a specific buck.
And you want it to be fun, so you're limited to where you go with your blinds. Sure, you can go throw a pop-up blind over something, but you've got your blind set on food or wherever, and a lot of times you don't need to go look somewhere else.
Right.
And I have a couple farms that I could, potentially late season I'll have a bow, but do I want to sit in the tree when it's -10 out?
Right.
Call me a wussy. I don't care.
Yeah, and if a big one started showing up, you'd do it.
The heater bodysuit might come out then.
It's one of those. Is the juice worth the squeeze? And I have a landowner's tag left on mine, and I have 3 okay bucks, but I'm also have a landowner doe tag, and we were texting a Snapchat group about deer numbers, and our guy in Wisconsin, Austin, he's sending trail cam pictures of like 25 does in one Nebraska patch, and we're like, man, you need to start killing a few of these, Yeah, I know, and so I'm not even worried about shooting a buck on my farm. I have a doe tag. I'll fill 1 doe tag, and I'll probably just let that buck tag go. And if something pops up, it gets consistent, then I might hunt it, but I don't need to kill a buck on my farm.
I'm on the same page.
And like I said, I'll have a late muzzleloader statewide tag, and I don't have anything to go after. It'll just be, let's see what shows up.
In my entire years, I don't have anything to go after.
And maybe just go sit, see if something shows up, or like,
You got some food too.
There's a little bit of food, but like we were talking, you had one on rear intake. Jay's like, this deer's not looking too hot. I'm not opposed to shooting a deer that's not going to make
skinny 3-year-old. He's kind of humped up. Could he got tined, shot? Who knows? But he's hitting that the evolved plot every single night, and nice young 3-year-old 10-pointer. And if he shows up, you know what? Jace is probably going to get excited because he's got 10 points instead of 8. And he already shot an 8-pointer. He'll be 7 in 10 days. So
yeah.
But as far as tags go, I do still have my statewide bow tag. I've only had one other year when he was born that I was chasing Newt that I didn't fill it till we brought him home.
Shot that 8-pointer.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Yep.
I remember that.
wagon blind.
Yep.
So that was the last time that I, went into late season like, oh man. And at that point I had standing beans, which was a really nice, and some shotgun hunters pushed this deer into that farm and had pictures of him. But then I have my landowners too, and it's the same. I got only 13 acres, and the guys are driving side by sides. The last sit I had out there, it was a Sunday. It was 60 degrees out. There's bees buzzing around. This was like last Sunday. It was warm.
Yeah.
There's mini excavators driving around. There was a skid loader. There's guys running chainsaws, and I'm talking like not 300-400 yards away. I'm talking like 100 yards away. Like I'm watching them run chainsaws. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. At that point, it's like
it might be. But I had some deer show up this morning, and I talked to my neighbor, and they're gonna be out of there for the next few days. So maybe they'll show back up.
Yeah. You just never know. It's hard to really tell, and that's where I'm at with it. Is I'm just like I'm ready to be done, but I got one more push left. Like I got one more like let's get this done left in me. I think.
And you got shotgun season, so that second season you never know. And I think more hunters are hunting second season shotgun. I don't know on the numbers, but it just seems like more and more groups go to that. Hey, I want 2 weekends to hunt.
No, I get it.
And so I'm hoping something's pushed in. And historically, second season is when the big ones show up.
Right, and I mean it makes sense because like first season you have 5 days, second season I don't know the number of days, but let's say you do a push that opening weekend of second season, and it blows a deer into this property. Well, then a few days later they do it again. Well, that deer that was living here could get pushed over farther forward.
And that's what happened to the deer you shot years ago on January 7th on my birthday.
Yeah.
Because he was living up north, like 4 or 5 miles on the creek. And my friend, Big Jace, had pictures of him up there, and then you end up killing him.
Yeah, I had one picture of him Christmas morning, and then just passing through one picture of him. Didn't even realize what I was like. Oh, hey, look, nice deer. And then he came through, went to bed, and I was like, I know exactly where he's going to be tonight. And I
game over.
Snuck
and
down.
That's the thing with these bonus deer that during shotgun season, your farm might be junk until you get one pushed in there.
Yep.
With cellular trail cam technology, it's, hey, he's there, you better go.
Right.
Don't just wait it out and see if he sticks around. You better go figure out how you can get in there to kill him.
Yeah.
Because he might not be there for long.
Yeah.
And I've had this situation with 2 or 3 big deer last year. They were just kind of passing through, and if I would have been, hey, I got pictures of them, went out that night, I probably would have seen them, at least seen them, maybe got a shot.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm to that point where I'm pretty burned out about checked out with deer season. But man, if you have food, late season's perfect.
Oh yeah, late season can be magical, and that's one thing I struggle with is keeping enough food for the deer to be happy and stay on the farm. And every year I'm kind of learning, trying to do something different.
Yeah, I sat mine last night for the last day of first season, and almost all my food's gone. And I'm like in my head, I'm already like I'm pulling up maps. I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do different for next year?
Can I get 3 acres of corn in here?
Yeah, how can I do this to still stay in?
And how much electric fence do I need?
CRP compliance, and hey, this part isn't in CRP. I can disc this up, and I can plant corn here and beans here. Or my clover plot's pretty big, but if I shrink it like 15 yards and add 15 yards of corn, that's better off in the long run than it is the having the clover there.
Right, and I will say I went from, and I hope you guys can learn from this, maybe you thinking different, but I had my first year, my plot was turnips, and it was a decent sized plot, probably about 1.5 acres. I had a ton of deer activity in there. Now that it's clover, and after that, that frost and those plants start to wilt and die, I think the turnips was the best route to go. And I honestly, if I had hundreds of acres, I would definitely do some clover plots for like that early season. Will they dig in, alfalfa and clover? But it's just that first year, like I had it looking good, and the second year probably would be better, but I would not go to clover if you're depending on one plot. I would do
100%.
turnips, corn, or beans. And
Yep.
obviously you want to fence those said corn or beans,
Yeah,
so the deer
100%.
don't knock it out like that.
Yep. Even an acre, it does not take long for an acre of bean or an acre of corn to get eaten out.
Yeah, and we're talking about small plots, and if you have the means to do all these other plots, make them.
Yeah,
as big
leave
as you
5
can.
acres of ag and stuff like that. Like obviously you don't have to fence that then, but
Yeah.
the two best things I've ever done is put in grain and fence it.
And there is a cost that comes with that, but there's a cost with owning your own farm, and it is what it is. And if you have the means to do these big plots, do them.
Yeah.
More food, more deer, more mouths to feed. If you have an acre plot, that's corn. Like Jesse said, it could be eaten in a couple days, depending on the deer density.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what I ran into this year. Is I thought it was going to be okay, and I didn't have a fence around my corn, and man, I got into mid-October and I'm like, it's like almost all gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then the raccoons are part of it. And you're not seeing all those, but I had like 2/3 of an acre of beans that I took down like a week or so, 10 days before youth season, thinking, hey, maybe one of these bucks will pull in here and have a youth hunter, take one of my kids there. And I didn't, but there's maybe 10% of beans left right now on that plot.
Yeah.
And it'll be gone in the next,
Right.
before season's over, it'll be gone. So I'm like, man, do I just quit hunting here and I can start, throwing feeders out and bales of alfalfa and just kind of get them through the winter, and just say, hey, I'm not hunting it anymore. Because if you're not hunting it, you can do that.
Right. As long as you're not hunting
Right.
at all, and you can feed whatever, just make sure.
But it'll probably be January 11th or something like that when I do it, because if I still have my buck tag there, I'm probably gonna wait. Just you never know. The last thing I want to do is have some big deer show up on an alfalfa pile and be like, well, crap.
Yep. Now I can't go.
Now I can't hunt. So.
But at least you might find the sheds.
Right, and that's the whole thing. Like I ordered some more feet, the flat feet for my 200-pound boss buck feeder, so you can pound them in. So it
Yeah, the 600 has that.
So my 600 is a T-post one, or a square post.
Yeah,
and
mine's got the legs, removable legs.
Yep, and I had a 200-pounder that I've had for 4 or 5 years, and it's just got the round legs, and it'll kind of tip. Well, I bought them on Amazon. They're just it's like a flat foot, like the size of a cell phone, and then it's got a little 45 tab going up, and then it's got a hole in it so you can put a pound of steak in there so it stays, and that way it doesn't sink in or whatever, so you can kind of position it where you want
that's
it.
the one thing when you're talking about after season feeding them, or if you're done hunting, whatever. Even that 600-pound that I have, yours on a post concreted in, right?
Yep.
So it ain't moving. But mine will shift. 600 pounds of corn, that ground starts to thaw. And guess what? All the corn comes running out, and the raccoons are really happy.
Yep, and that's the one thing I found with because I have it on a 4x4 post. The raccoons do jump up there and stuff like that, but it's not near as bad as I thought it would be. So, but that's all part of it.
So anyway,
Game on.
going into late season, it's going to be interesting. We got quite a few team members that have tags left. Some guys are going out this weekend, and I know one of our guys went shotgun hunting with some Amish guys. What did he kill? Like 12 deer
Yeah,
and 3 or 4 coyotes, maybe more.
five coyotes and 11 deer, I think, if I remember right. 11 does.
Hunting with the Amish.
Yep. I shot 5. I shot 5 does in 2 days. Actually, I shot all of them on Sunday. Having to be right place, right time.
That's what
That's what it's for. I sat all day Saturday, never had a shot.
Did you ever have? It seems like every time you go shotgun hunting, the big one always gets away. Did you have that happen?
Not that I saw, but
Someone else saw it.
I think one person said they saw. I saw a pretty good buck run out over here. Is what it was. But we had a guy sitting on the pond dam, like on the corner, and he killed 2 bucks, like probably a mid-60s, 10 beautiful deer, and an even older, probably 40s class buck with a broken tooth. But that deer was probably like fully mature, like 6, 7 years old. Just you could tell the giant cinder block head. His forehead was like.
But you didn't have any of that. The big one didn't.
No, nobody said, "Man, the big one got out here." Or, I saw the big one. And,
that's the best part. Oh, he's still out there.
And honestly, like, I hunt one farm that we shotgun hunt. Like, I bow hunt it, and I let 3 or 4 little fawns go by and 2 little bucks I didn't shoot at. And that's fine.
Yep.
Saw a couple other does I could have shot at. The one good buck, honestly, probably my target buck for late season. My buddy Mitch killed on that drive, which is fine. He's, 4 or 5 year old buck, but he had a big sore across his stomach.
I've seen that.
And I couldn't tell what it was, but it was infected on the inside. When I got there, I'm like, oh, well, that's not bad. Maybe caught on barbed wire or something like that. I'm like, oh, he should probably be fine. And when I cleaned it, it was just green slime. And I'm like, yeah, he could have had a slow death all winter, but he was the most consistent deer head on camera, and I was gonna try to kill him late season. I wanted to let him go earlier in the year, but he started getting a little bit skinnier.
Who knows? Could have lost his rack by the time late season got here.
Yeah, so it was one of those. I didn't care. I mean, I'm happy for him. It's probably second biggest buck he ever killed. But the coolest part was he brought his 10-year-old with, and he killed 2 deer. He shot his first deer ever, sitting with Juddy way down to the bottom on that drive, and then Sunday he shot his first buck.
Awesome.
So I mean, that's cooler than anything else.
Yeah, you won't forget that.
Yeah. Ever. Yep. It was pretty cool stuff, and yeah, he was excited. So that's all. That's all that matters. Like I said, I've shot enough deer. If they run by me, I'm gonna shoot them. But those are the cool ones.
Nothing ran by me first season shotgun. I sat in the hawk blind and the hawk chairs. They're different from these. If you guys are watching on YouTube, they are called.
The Denali's?
Hawk Denali XL.
The big ones?
Oh my goodness. So comfortable. I mean, if you needed the heater, buddy heater's there, and it's so relaxing to sit in those blinds with comfortable chairs. Like, spend the money, buy the chairs.
These are fine, and I have a couple muddy ones that are kind of like this that are in one of my blinds.
They don't compare anything.
But I have one of those Denali's. The problem is I have 2 of them in there. They're pretty big.
They are. You got to move them around. It'd probably be best to switch one Denali with one of these.
Yep. Have one. Hey, if I'm just by myself,
it'd be perfect for Jace or the kids.
Yeah.
Because our legs are a lot longer.
Yeah, I had Trent film me one day during the end of bow season, and we sat on my farm, and I was like, man, there's not a lot of room to be moving around and stuff. So
I had 2 like these in a bag chair in my new muddy bull. And we were comfortable. We had the heater going. This is during Thanksgiving, and we've seen a few little bucks. But yeah, you can really hunt 3 guys pretty comfortably in those. Just make sure you don't have the giant chairs. Yeah. If you want comfortability, buy the Denali XL by Hawk. 100%.
They don't fold up. They're stationary. Like these, you can loosen them and they'll tilt down and stuff like that. Those Denali's, they're solid. Which I think makes them more comfortable.
Yeah, and they're the bigger.
Yeah, they're wider. The backs are nicer.
And if you're in there by yourself and you have 2, you can put a footrest around. But yeah, I guess into late season we go.
Yep.
Where we'll end up, I guess.
I don't know. Hopefully we can knock down a few more deer, get some footage, and
try to do one more podcast before Christmas. That is coming up very quickly, so you guys make sure you're not like me and you wait to the last minute to do all your shopping. Which that's going to be me tonight.
I haven't started, so. But we're to that point where, at least my wife and I, it's kind of like, well, just get me this.
One of our urban guys is out right now. So, might have a video. Yeah, that's a good deer.
Yeah. Yep. Better than anything I got hunting going into late season. Just tell them to hit the record button. So hopefully we can end this with a bang. Literally.
The smokeless is loaded.
Yep, it's loaded, ready to go. Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Be safe out there. Have a Merry Christmas. If you don't hear from us until then or after then. Whatever. And